Hey everyone, we're on day 6. The starter's starting to smell a lot better. It's a little bit sweet now, which is pretty cool. Still not getting as much rise. For some reason mine on that first day blew up, and since then hasn't been doing much. There's still bubbles, it's smelling good, it's moving, it's active. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start feeding it again, but I promised doing pizza, so we're gonna make pizza today that we'll use for tomorrow with some of the discards from one of our starters. So I'm just gonna go ahead and scoop it out. We're scooping out about half. So I'm gonna use the white one. It seems like everybody was using a mix between the white and the wheat, but my white one seems a little bit less active, so I didn't wanna get ahead of anybody else. So scooping that out into the bowl. We'll feed that one what we talked about yesterday, which was 50 grams of flour, 40 grams of water. I'll scoop this one out. For the wheat, it's 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of water. Starting to smell better. It'll start to get a little bit more active as things start to build a little bit more. It's all about process. It's all about time. For the pizza dough, I'm gonna move these out of the way. What we're gonna do is, I already put the water in here, but we're doing, for those of you who have a scale, we're doing 200 grams of flour, 160 grams of water, 4 grams of salt, and then that 50 grams of starter. For people who don't have a scale, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a cup and a half of flour, 3 quarter cups of water, so 3/4 of a cup of water, and about a half teaspoon of salt. What I'm doing is I'm doing a mix of white and wheat, so it's going to turn out a little bit mixed. It usually ends up pretty nice for the flour. If you're able to do it, that's great. I'm doing a cup of white and a half cup of wheat. I'll put all this information in the details so you can follow along as well. I've already put the starter and the water in there. I'm going to go ahead and add everything in, and I'll change the camera. I'll bring the camera over so you can see after I add everything in there. So I went water, starter, flour on top of that, and then salt on top of that. Never put the salt directly on top of it. And then what we're gonna just do is just mix it. I will do a quick mix so you can see what the consistency turns out to be like. It's gonna be a little bit more on the watery side, which is fine, and it should firm up a little bit. We're gonna do a couple things that I like to call folds. A lot of other people like to call them folds. It's gonna be relatively inactive. We're gonna do it a couple times, but otherwise we're not gonna touch this dough very much. We're gonna use it for tomorrow, and mainly it's just to develop the techniques for when you start using bread, and also not to discard all of that starter that you're making. So I just did that mix of mine. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what it looks like. It looks pretty goopy. I'll post another video, or I'll try to splice this one together to see how it looks after. What we're gonna do is we're gonna let it sit for 30 minutes and come back to it. When you have a lot of goop on your hands, go ahead and what you wanna do, wet your offhand, and it should just slide off for the most part. Okay. All right, see you in a little bit.